So Wayne, this is the first opportunity for you to come out to one of these Team BC evaluation camps. What are your first impressions?
It's been great. I've really enjoyed seeing all the young talent that's here in BC, getting to meet some of the BC coaches that I haven't really known in the past. So there's outstanding talent here, and it's really nice to see a lot of great young men getting a super opportunity to develop as football players.
You know, a lot of people assume that when Blake Nill left for UBC, maybe recruiting for the Calgary Dinos would drop off, but I'm not sure if I've seen a year as aggressive recently in terms of recruiting in the field as I've seen this year out of the Dinos recruiting. What does that say about your staff?
Well, everybody's really wanting to be involved and to make sure that we stay strong as a program. The strength of our program has been the whole group of coaches, the athletes, the Alumni Association, our academic support. So it's more than just one individual or anything, and we knew that we were a little bit behind at the start in the hiring process, so we wanted to make sure that we got out ahead of the game as much as we could from where our starting point was.
Another fantastic day for the Dinos at the CFL draft, especially even with that last pick, Andrew Buckley going to the Stampeders. That must make you doubly proud, because I know that you bleed Stampeder red as much as Dino red, and to have him in that facility, to have that sort of exposure and that development must be a great positive, not just for the Dino brand, but for his development leading into next year. How happy were you when you heard that Andrew was picked with that final pick?
Well, we were all cheering super loud. We had a big draft party, and everybody just stood up and started cheering when Andrew was drafted by Calgary. It was really nice to see, and everybody that was drafted was well recognized, and the whole evening was just a great evening. 7 guys available for the draft, all 7 selected. Super outstanding job by our athletes, by our coaches, developing those athletes, and they're great young men, and I think they're all going to probably have great CFL careers. So.
Yeah, on the offensive side of the ball, of course, Jake Hardy is going to be moving on, Suk Chung moving on. Sean McEwen might be back. He has the opportunity to perhaps continue his education and play another year, doing the same thing that Kirby Fabian did 2 years ago. Have you got feedback from Sean yet on what he wants to do, or any sort of indication?
Well, we've been having some talks, and he's just looking at all of his options and making sure that he makes the best decision for him. Education is very important to him and his family, and he wants to make sure that he's in a solid position and finishing his degree. So we're still talking, and whatever he decides to do, we're going to fully support that.
In terms of your offensive line, your protection package, and your run game, though, you still have some solid offensive linemen in the rotation. You're probably the deepest in the Canada West in that category going into last year. You have to be happy with what you have there.
Well, we're definitely really pleased with the group that's coming back. Unfortunately for Suk, he was hurt for part of the year, but that gave the opportunity for a few other guys to develop and get some starting roles and playing time, so it's helped us for this season coming up.
On the defensive side of the ball, there was a big concern about a lack of linebackers. You put an appeal in, you managed to get Dr. Kasama back for another year. I guess he's got a decision to make now whether he wants to come back for that other year. Are you going to approach your defensive front differently, considering maybe your strength in your front 7 is with your linemen and not your linebackers, with all those kids moving on?
Well, we certainly look at everything, and we've evaluated. We've got a great group of defensive line returning. We do have some very outstanding young linebackers in the program that haven't had the playing time up to this point in time. So it's just a matter of seeing how quickly they develop. Most of them had a very good off-season training, and they definitely had a very good spring camp and had an opportunity to step into starting roles, seeing as both Konar and Dahl were drafted and they didn't participate in our spring camp.
Brian Dobie just said that you probably have the best secondary in the country right now. Your thoughts on that?
Well, 3 All-Canadians that have played in the secondary and are all back next year. So definitely an outstanding group. And then the other 2 that Woodson and Turnbull are obviously pretty good football players as well. So, yeah, we're excited about our secondary. They get a great deal of coaching, and they've just done an outstanding job.
Now you've been immersed in getting into that chair and getting things going for the Dinos as a head coach, even though you've been around the program for a long, long time. But around the CIS, around the Canada West, there's been a lot of news and a lot of talk about changes, about task force, about other things. What are your thoughts in terms of change around the CIS? If you could change a couple of things, maybe make some progressive changes, what would they be?
Well, it's really been a job for me to kind of get myself up to speed with some of the ideas that are being bandied about and trying to consider all of the ramifications of maybe going to the Super League or to some other kind of recruiting kinds of rules that maybe aren't in place right now. So they're definitely going to be, there's a summit in a couple of weeks where I'll get a lot more information and be able to give a better idea just exactly what direction the CIS is looking to go. But definitely we'd like to see a great deal of more support in terms of the media, in terms of television coverage, that type of thing. Our brand of football is great. It's been great for many years, and I think we just looking for that fan base to really expand.
On the recruiting side, I see a lot of familiar faces here that are here year after year after year that really spend a lot of time on the road. How important do you see enforceable recruiting windows as part of change in the CIS?
Well, it's certainly a big task. Most schools, education, the academic requirements of getting into a university just continue to increase, makes it more challenging for some athletes. And so nationally, you have to be more aware of what's going on and what the athletes are that are out there to keep your program strong and viable and competitive. And that's why we are here as well, just to making sure that we continue to be strong and at the top.
Wayne, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.